Gabriel Hart, a 38-year-old widower, lived in Maple Hollow, a quiet town decorated with lights and wreaths, announcing the arrival of Christmas. Since losing his wife, Clara, in a car accident 2 years ago, Gabriel had struggled to find meaning in his existence. Working as a watch repairer in an old workshop, he spent his days adjusting gears, as if trying to fix something broken inside him. That December, the days seemed darker. Gabriel began to notice signs that stirred something deep inside him. There were recurring dreams of an hourglass turning, of glowing seals on the foreheads of unknown people, and of the number 144,000 engraved on a landscape of endless snow. He didn't understand it, but he felt that something was about to change. His 12-year-old daughter, Hannah, watched him closely. Although young, she was wise for her age, perhaps because she had lost her mother so early. "Daddy, do you believe that we all have a purpose?" he asked one evening while they were decorating the tree. Gabriel hesitated before answering. "I used to believe that, Hannah. But maybe some of us never find out what it is. I think God always shows us. We just need to listen more," she replied with a smile that reminded him of Clara. The first indication came when Gabriel reluctantly agreed to help organize the town's Christmas fair. Although it was a simple task, setting up stalls and adjusting the clock tower, he noticed that the people around him seemed to be affected by his presence. Without realizing it, he was like a catalyst to make everything flow better. Mrs. Evelyn, a retired teacher who was coordinating the event, approached him with a warm smile. "Gabriel, you have a special way. It seems that wherever you are, things are easier. Did you know that?" Gabriel was surprised. He had always thought he was just another face in the crowd, someone who preferred not to attract attention. However, he realized that his presence inspired calm and confidence in the people around him, as if he carried a light that even he couldn't see. One evening, while repairing an old clock in the workshop, Gabriel saw Hannah watching a superhero movie. He smiled as he remembered how, when he was young, he collected comic books and imagined himself fighting evil, saving people in danger. He realized that he still carried a deep connection with these fictional heroes, not just for their exploits, but for what they represented: justice, courage, and sacrifice. He reflected on how, even in everyday life, these ideals could guide someone to be a force for good. Hannah interrupted him with an unexpected question. "Daddy, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?" Gabriel smiled, but answered seriously, "The power to help people believe in themselves." Although simple, the answer resonated deeply within him. He began to realize that his role might not be to save the world on a grand scale, but to impact those around him, like a silent hero. On the eve of the Christmas fair, Gabriel went to the town square to check the big clock. As he passed an alley, he heard loud voices. A young vendor was being wrongly accused of something he hadn't done. Gabriel instinctively intervened. "We can't accuse someone without proof," he said, firmly but calmly. His presence made the accusers back off, and the young man thanked him. As he walked home, Gabriel felt the weight of this experience. He had always hated injustice, but now it seemed more than an aversion. It was as if he was destined to right wrongs, to defend the defenseless. He remembered something Clara always said: "Never ignore what's wrong. If you can make a difference, do it." Gabriel discovered that he had a peculiar ability to turn difficult moments into something more bearable, but he never saw it as a gift. The Christmas fair was the stage where this trait revealed itself in a striking way. On the opening night, a gust of wind knocked over one of the food stalls, scattering apple pies and hot cider all over the ground. The volunteers started arguing about who was responsible for setting it up. Gabriel, who was adjusting the large clock in the square, climbed down from the ladder and approached them. He listened patiently to the heated arguments before intervening. "If the wind can knock over pies, imagine what it can do to our heads if we keep fighting like this," he said, smiling slightly. The joke unexpectedly broke the tension. People started laughing, and soon everyone was cleaning the floor and putting the tent back up together, without any more arguments. Evelyn, the retired teacher, commented, "Gabriel, you have a way. It's like a flashlight in the darkness." Gabriel was reflective afterwards. He hadn't done anything extraordinary, or so he thought. However, his ability to use humor to relieve tension and motivate others seemed unique. At night, while putting Hannah to bed, she surprised him with a remark. "Daddy, did you know that your voice makes people happy? When you talk, things seem less scary." Gabriel laughed, but those words stayed with him. He began to realize that perhaps his mere presence and his kind words were a divine gift, something he should use more consciously. The morning after the fair, Gabriel was woken up by a faint sound coming from the yard. When he opened the door, he found a thin, dirty dog, shivering with cold. Its brown eyes pleaded for help. Gabriel hesitated. Looking after an animal was a responsibility he wasn't sure he was ready to take on. But something in him wouldn't allow him to close the door. He brought the dog inside, wrapped it in a warm towel, and offered it some milk. Hannah, on seeing the scene, was overjoyed. "Daddy, can we keep him? He needs us." Gabriel tried to resist, but as he stroked the animal, he felt an inexplicable connection. It was as if the dog was silently thanking him, as if he understood that Gabriel also needed something to fill the void in his life. They decided to name him Buddy. Over the next few days, Gabriel realized that his empathy for animals went beyond the ordinary. He began to notice the birds that came into the garden, the squirrels that ran through the trees, even the small insects that tried to escape the cold. He felt connected to them in a way he had never felt before, as if they shared a spiritual bond. Buddy became a constant companion, not only for Gabriel but also for Hannah, who now smiled more often. One night, while watching Buddy sleeping on the carpet, Gabriel thought, maybe loving something as pure as an animal is a way of connecting to something greater. He began to understand that his love for animals was more than compassion. It was a reflection of his mission as a chosen one, to care for, protect, and offer unconditional love. Moments of anxiety were a burden Gabriel had carried in silence since Clara's accident. On sleepless nights, he would sit in the workshop, adjusting watches that were already perfect, just to occupy his mind. But the anxiety was relentless, like an uninvited visitor who didn't mind being ignored. One evening, while adjusting the hand of an old watch, he felt the beginnings of another crisis. His breathing quickened, his hands began to shake, and the world around him seemed to fall apart. He tried to calm down, but it seemed impossible. Hannah, hearing the noise from the workshop, quietly came in and held his hand. "Daddy, breathe with me. Like this, slowly," she said, showing him how to do it. Although Hannah was only a child, her presence was an anchor that brought Gabriel back to the present. After calming down, he realized that these crises were not just a sign of weakness, but a way for his soul to express that something needed to be healed. The next day, while walking with Buddy through the park, Gabriel found a small bench where he sat down to observe nature. He began to wonder if these crises were somehow a spiritual calling, a reminder that he needed to reconnect with himself and with something greater. He decided to seek spiritual support, reading about how prayer and meditation could bring peace. Over time, Gabriel began to turn these crises into moments of reflection and self-knowledge. Each time he overcame one, he felt stronger and closer to understanding the purpose he so desperately sought. Since the accident, Gabriel had always felt that his life should mean something more. It wasn't just mourning the loss of Clara, but an inexplicable longing for a greater purpose, something that went beyond the daily routine. He felt this in vivid dreams, in moments of silence, and even in interactions with people. In one such dream, Gabriel saw himself in a vast field covered in snow. In the center was a giant hourglass, and he knew he had to turn it. The number 144,000 shone in the sky, and he felt a soft voice saying, "You have an important role to play. Trust the process." The next morning, while walking to the local church to deliver a restored clock, Gabriel met Father Thomas, who always seemed to know when someone needed advice. On hearing about the dream, Thomas smiled. "You know, Gabriel, sometimes God speaks to us in symbols. That number, that hourglass. Maybe it's time for you to accept that you've been called to something greater." These words echoed in Gabriel's mind. He realized that the emptiness he felt was not an absence of purpose, but an invitation to actively seek it. He began to pay attention to the signs, the people he met, and the situations that arose. Each step seemed to take Gabriel closer to his mission. He began to believe that there was something bigger at stake, that his role in the world was just beginning to unfold. As the last night of December brought a sacred silence to Gabriel's small town, he looked up at the starry sky. He felt that there was something different about that night, as if it were a milestone, a gentle reminder that the universe was moving according to a greater plan. Gabriel reflected on the year that was ending, but not with sadness. On the contrary, he felt full of gratitude. Each challenge he had faced had been like a piece of a divine mosaic, gradually revealing the picture of his greater purpose. Gabriel knew that he was not alone on this journey. He was part of the chosen ones, the souls destined to bring light to the world, even in its darkest moments. He remembered the words of the Book of Revelation, which spoke of the 144,000 chosen ones, sealed and protected by God for a special calling. He felt deeply that, although imperfect, he was one of them. Like the other chosen ones scattered around the world, Gabriel was there to make a difference, to spread love and compassion, and to be a beacon in the midst of the storms. The 144 chosen are not distant figures, but ordinary people called to something extraordinary. Gabriel understood that each of them carries a piece of divine light, a flame that can never be extinguished, even in the most difficult circumstances. They are the ones who see beauty where others see chaos, who feel compassion where there is pain, and who inspire hope when all seems lost. But this journey is not easy. To be chosen is to face resistance, challenges, and even moments of doubt. It means being a light in a world that often prefers darkness. It means hearing God's call even when everything seems silent. Gabriel knew this because he had felt these battles in his own heart. He remembered moments when fear tried to overwhelm him, times when he felt the weight of responsibility and wondered if he was strong enough. And it was in that moment of reflection that he found the answer. The chosen do not walk alone. God walks alongside them. He provides strength when weakness seems to take over, direction when the path is dark, and peace when the heart is troubled. The 144 were not chosen because they were perfect, but because their hearts were willing to respond to the call. This Christmas, Gabriel decided that his mission was not just to reflect on his call, but to act on it. He understood that being one of the chosen meant being willing to transform the world around him, even if it started with small gestures. It meant seeing others as an extension of himself, offering love, forgiveness, and hope. Above all, it meant trusting in the divine plan, even when it didn't make sense. And that's the message Gabriel wanted to share with you. If you feel that you are one of the chosen ones, know this: you have been called to shine, even in the midst of the shadows. You are part of something bigger, part of a heavenly army that is here to transform the world with love, faith, and action. No matter how difficult the path, remember that God has sealed you with His protection and strengthens you with His grace. When Gabriel finally understood the magnitude of the call burning in his soul, he realized that he was not alone. As one of the 144 chosen, he was part of something bigger than he could ever have imagined. His journey was not just a personal matter. It was a piece of a great divine plan to enlighten the world and bring renewal to all who crossed his path. You, who are now reading these words, can also be part of that special group. The 144 chosen are not perfect, but they are dedicated, called to a life of purpose and transformation. They carry the signs that set them apart, and perhaps you too have noticed these signs in your own life. Number 1. You positively influence the people around you. Gabriel has always had the gift of inspiring others. Even without realizing it, his words and actions had the power to encourage those who were lost or discouraged. If you see yourself bringing hope and inspiration to those around you, know that this is a clear sign of your light as a chosen one. Number 2. You feel a special connection to stories of heroes. From a young age, Gabriel saw himself reflected in the heroes of the stories he read. He understood that these narratives echoed something within him, a call to do good, protect the vulnerable, and stand up for justice. Perhaps you too feel this resonance, a deep connection with the heroic values that shape your worldview. Number 3. You can't stand injustice, and you fight to change it. Gabriel's indignation at any injustice was a reflection of his restless soul. He couldn't ignore suffering or turn a blind eye to the wrongs of the world. That same fire can be in you, a force that pushes you to seek change and be a voice for those who cannot speak. Number 4. You have the gift of lightening people's load. Gabriel had the ability to transform the atmosphere with his words and actions. He knew how to bring lightness and joy even in the most difficult of times. If you also feel this desire to help and comfort others, know that this is one of the hallmarks of your mission. Number 5. You feel a special connection with animals and nature. Gabriel was known for his empathy with all creatures. He saw animals as part of a greater whole, a reflection of divine creation that deserves care and respect. This love for living beings is a sign that you share his vision of a harmonious world. Number 6. You have faced internal crises with no apparent explanation. The moments of anxiety and panic that Gabriel faced were not a sign of weakness, but of a deep sensitivity to the energies around him. He understood that these challenges were part of his awakening, an invitation to seek a deeper connection with his mission. Number 7. You feel you have a greater purpose, even if you don't know what it is. Even though Gabriel felt lost at times, he never stopped believing that his life had a special meaning. He knew that at some point, his mission would reveal itself. Perhaps you too feel this call, even if you don't have all the answers. Gabriel knew that the chosen ones play a crucial role in the battle between light and darkness. They are not just ordinary individuals. They are agents of change, destined to heal, inspire, and lead. The world is full of spiritual challenges, and the chosen are those called to face them head-on. The 144 chosen are protected by a divine seal. They face opposing forces, such as jealousy, fear, hatred, and manipulation, but stand firm, knowing that their light is more powerful. This seal is not just a mark. It is a constant reminder of their connection to God and their mission to bring renewal and hope to the world. Gabriel also understood that the journey of a chosen one is not linear. There are moments of doubt, internal struggles, and even loneliness. But every obstacle is an opportunity to grow, every challenge an invitation to deepen his faith. Now, at the end of this cycle, Gabriel found himself at a turning point. He knew that his mission had only just begun. Like him, you too are being called to begin a new chapter. This is the time to embrace your identity as a chosen one, to leave behind what no longer serves you, and to walk with confidence towards the purpose that God has prepared for you. The new journey does not require perfection, but willingness. It is an invitation to be a light in a world that is so often plunged into darkness. It is a call to turn your struggles into strength, your pain into compassion, and your faith into action. Just like the 144 chosen ones, you have been called to be an agent of change. To begin this new journey, Gabriel found a guide in the chosen devotional, 40 Days with Jesus. This devotional offers powerful and practical reflections to deepen your connection with God and align your life with divine purpose. Gabriel found that by dedicating just a few minutes a day to prayer and meditation, his faith was renewed and his vision became clearer. And now, I invite you to do the same. Let this devotional be a tool to strengthen your journey and rekindle the light within you. May it help you better understand your mission and bring peace and clarity to your journey as a chosen one. Chosen, now is the time to act. Write in the comments something you want to leave behind in this new cycle. Also share an intention or a dream that you are ready to embrace. Together, as a community of chosen ones, we can strengthen our light and create a positive impact on the world. Remember, you are part of something bigger. You carry a unique light, a mission that only you can fulfill. And however challenging the journey may seem, know that God is with you every step of the way. I am George, your spiritual leader, and I am here to walk alongside you on this journey. May God bless you abundantly and guide every step of your mission